My name is UGeN. I'm this with the Energy and Minerals Program and one of the co-conveners of Utah Geothermal Network. So thank you for joining us in person. I see we've got a bunch of people online too, which is great. I'd love having people in person too. It really brings kind of a different energy. So thank you for taking the time to come down here, despite the fact we don't serve lunch yet. So some of us will be an angel donor and provide lunch for UGeN meetings. Get in contact with me. Anyway, on behalf of my co-conveners, Eileen Zabrowski, who's there. Eileen, raise your hand. Hello. Alex Bretman here. Christian Hardwick. Again, welcome. So I'm going to run through a couple of agenda items here before we get to our main topic. I've got several announcements and probably some discussion too. And then we're going to go to two presentations from graduate students, Grant Spraker and Ian Adams. From University of Utah and UNR, respectively. And then if we have time in the back end of our 1 hour, we'll just kind of open things up for discussion that are more networking. Okay, sound good? Great. So first, upcoming UGeN events. Social Mixer, April 8th, Fisher Brewing Company. It's a typical place. Come on in. Typical place where we've been before. We'll just have some tables reserved in the common area. Probably a little sign up on the table. Just look for Alex. Hold up our logo. We'll look for a little logo, much bigger than that though.
City Utah, some arrows pointing at heat directionally.
There we go. Yeah, AI assisted logo design. We should have seen some of the other ones that I had to come up with that were not even close. So anyway, so meet up with us at Fisher on April 8th, just for some more networking and chit chat, and build your professional network too. Our summer quarterly meeting will be held June 18th. It'll be at the Utah Core Research. I think we're actually going to hold this over at the Department of Natural Resources, which is just another building here on campus. We'll give you more updates when it comes along. But again, same schedule. We'll open things up around 11:30 for socializing and networking, and then we'll have some technical content. We've got two kind of high-powered speakers at this next one, which is really interesting. So we're going to hear from more on the professional side of geothermal. One of them is the curator of paleontology, oddly enough, Professor Randy Ernest from University of Utah. The Natural History Museum of Utah, you guys familiar with where that is up on the hill? They're going to be installing a ground source like heat pump system that they're going to be drilling it in their current parking lot footprint. One of the things they want to do for this is actually collect a 600-foot continuous rock core in one of those boreholes that's going to be converted to one of those geothermal wells eventually, and we're submitting a proposal to get some funding to make that happen. And Randy's going to talk to us about that work, as well as just Natural History Museum's greater net zero initiative, which is kind of reserved to get to a carbon neutral annual energy footprint for the university, or for the Natural History Museum at some point. I'll let Randy talk more about it. Anyway, it's going to be super interesting. Also, we have a geologist, Edgar Covarrubias from the Utah Bureau of Land Management. Edgar's going to talk to us a little bit about how geothermal permitting works on BLM lands in Utah. It is the Wild West again out there for anybody that's currently submitting applications, including myself and permits. So those are going to be two great talks we have coming up in June. If anybody hasn't seen it, DOE released a NOFO or a application, call for applications for about $172 million in funding to support characterization wells, strat wells, testing of resources, things along those lines. If you weren't aware of it and your company is interested in doing stuff like this, go ahead and you can search this on your own time. We want to make sure everybody's aware of this, because this is kind of impactful that the geothermal sector gets this kind of DOE money kind of tossed at it for drilling wells. Drilling wells, as many of you know, are expensive as heck, right? So this FOA will allow applicants to potentially get money to drill a deep strat well wherever they want to prove out a resource. If any of my co-conveners have anything to add while I kind of blast through these slides, let me know. Just raise your hand or speak up, please. So some of us, Christian and myself, as well as our colleagues at the New Mexico Bureau of Mineral Resources, are going to be teaching a short course, Geothermal 101, at the Rocky Mountain GSA meeting in Albuquerque, New Mexico in mid-May. If you want to travel down there and join our short course, please register online. We also have a field trip associated with that up to the Valles Caldera. We're going to focus on the heat sources for the Valles Caldera, using new insights from geophysical surveys that were collected as part of the SAGE program run by, or co-run by Sherry Kelly there at New Mexico. So it's going to be, a lot of geothermal topics down there at the GSA meeting. These smaller regional GSA meetings are great for networking, meeting people, learning. So as opposed to some of the larger annual sort of countrywide or nationwide meetings that are run by GSA and GR and other folks too. So I invite you to come down. If you have any interest in this, you can come talk to Christian or I, and we can give you some more information. Okay. So another thing is we've got a call for graduate students out. This is Professor Carrie Johnson at the University of Utah and us, the UGS, are looking for graduate students and a postdoc researcher to work on several projects related to deep sedimentary basin geothermal in Utah. A lot of words on these slides because I just copied and pasted it on my way over here. We're going to be working in the Great Basin, location sort of TBD. Some of the funding still TBD. Some of the funding has landed though, so we're confident enough to put out a call for graduate students. They're going to be advised by Carrie at the University of Utah and sort of co-advised by Christian and I and others at the Utah Geological Survey. This is basically basin characterization, basin analysis, drawing up clay maps, maybe working on active drilling tests, database development. It's kind of a wide open spectrum of skills that could be developed during these master's or PhD projects, as well as postdoc work. We're looking for, it's going to involve cross-disciplinary work. We're going to have geophysics, such as MT, gravity, and seismic data. We're going to look at geology, look at rocks from well logs and core. It's going to include structural cross-section building, stratigraphic correlations. Yes, it's going to be a lot, right? Especially if it's going to be on the PhD level. But we have the work and potentially the funding and the capacity to fund this collaboration. So some sort of prior experience in geothermal or subsurface characterization is helpful, but it's not required, right? So if you're interested in working in an MS or PhD program under Carrie or applying for a postdoc, talk to Carrie or I, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. Okay, so let's see. I have no information about this. I just pulled this from a discussion I had with somebody about 5 minutes ago. So, State of Utah Bill SB 21 passed. Yay? I don't know. Right, so my understanding is that it defines geothermal rights in Utah as being connected to the surface owner's rights. Does anybody in the room have any information about SB 21 or opinions that they want to share about it? As of March 2026, this bill, titled Geothermal Amendments, has been sent to the governor for signature. The purpose is it addresses geothermal resources regarding reservation on state and institutional trust lands. So this may be just relevant to SITLA lands or state lands. Clarifies the purposes of an ownership of geothermal resources or fluids, yada, yada, yada. So I encourage folks to take a closer look at this, especially if you're working in this space currently in private industry, see what the effects of SB 21 could be to your business. It looks like it'll be enacted on May 6th. So I don't have more information for you on this. It was passed to us by a contact from GR just very, very recently.
UGeN, is that specific to like deep basins or like passive geothermal shallow?
Chris, if you don't mind, just for those of us in the room, you can just, if you don't mind, just like typing a little bit of information in the chat. We'll read it to the folks in the room when we get to discussion at the end, but I don't want to kind of work on tech issues right now. That's our apologies for that, and thanks for contributing. Let's see. So the last thing I'll invite you all to do, you're in the room right now, so you already know about the Utah Geothermal Network. We have a webpage on the UGS's website where you can keep abreast of all of our upcoming meetings and learn a little bit more. You can join our network, get on our mailing list. So go ahead, you can either just Google Utah Geothermal Network, it'll take you right here, or go to the UGS website and navigate yourself. So those are the announcements I have. what we typically like to do too is open it up to the room. If anybody in the room has any announcements that they'd like to make or any questions for the greater community. Okay, we're good. We're excited to move on to our two talks today.